So we'll start in our seat of meditation. And if you want, obviously, you can change to a cross-legged seat. I want you to have the ability to sit for a moment, okay? And then let's close our eyes. And already, as we're closing our eyes, maybe you are noticing a very subtle shift, right? So today's all about the subtleties, right? All the nuances in everything that is happening, in everything that we want to notice, everything we want to create, everything we want to have the ability to shift, right? Shift or accept, because that's the cycle, right? We're practicing what the way of the warrior spirit, Budokon, means to us individually. Because each of us will have different experience of that work. Each of us will have a different, let's say, intellectual concept. Each of us will have a different way of expressing that. But nonetheless, there is a principle, right? There is this, I would call, inner and outer guidance that becomes a compass, right, in that process. So even as we take a moment maybe to even reflect on a few things, a few points, a few thoughts of the conversation in mind science, right, around anti-fragility. There's probably 1, 2, maybe 3 important pointers or something you resonated with in that conversation of what anti-fragility might mean, again, as a concept to you, how you're experiencing it. And maybe you can even find somewhat of a mantra, right? A little guide, a sentence, a word, something that you can call to, right? And anchor to, even in this practice now, right? Because in essence, these 7 sections, this practice today, you just want to be a mirror reflection of what goes on inside of you around the principle, around the essence of this concept, around the words, the definitions, but then also the feelings, right? What comes up for you? What arises? Something I experience through my practice, through my Budookon, through the practice of anti-fragility, is being in a space of not knowing, right? He even called it thriving in disorder, which is something that would freak me out. Disorder, chaos. To me, equaled not being in control, right? And I think we all can relate in some ways how it feels to feel out of control. The sense of unsafety, right? The sense of even loss of self, of who I am in that space. So one thing we know for certain is that there is change. There will be a constant need for adaptation, right? And how do we deal with those moments, right? That's to me the moment where our courage, our trust, our intuition, our anti-fragility is being called to. This to me is the way of the warrior spirit. So to open now more to our physical practice, let's open our eyes and bow in together. Right hand, left hand. And we bow, fierce, strong, but humble to all the warriors, right? The warrior, I am myself, and all the warriors that are sharing the space with ourselves, us. And us meaning patience, right? Patience in this process of life, of doing our work, of experiencing this, right? So hands together. And here we celebrate, we acknowledge, we really tune into that ability of ours of practicing acceptance, right? Of practicing being with the knowing that change is necessary, that change will come for us, and that I have the ability to sit with it, be at peace with it, and just work through it at any time. Namaste. Okay. Good, guys. From here, I want to give us each a little moment to just adjust, right? To get into the body a little bit. So you rearrange. Let's start finding a 4-point base first, right? In our 4-point base, in this process of awakening, right? Our section 1 is called awakening. So awakening to me is even here now a reflection of understanding that there are parts of ourselves that we might avoid. There are parts of ourselves that we might be in resistance with, that we keep unexpressed. So the work here of those unexpressed parts is asking us why, right? Asking why we avoid maybe being more in touch with a sensuality, a subtlety in the body, an exploration in the body, a more expressed way of moving, thinking, feeling, and what the underlying energy, like almost like an energetic signature, but then also the belief, right? What is the story here? That I'm not allowing myself to be what I'm made to be, right? Our bodies are meant to be fully expressed, fully explored, fully awakened. But in order to be fully awakened, we also have to be fully awakened and conscious in our minds and our thoughts, in shedding light on all the beliefs that are holding us back. So from here, after this little 4-point base playtime, I want us to slowly step back, right? Step back into your plank. And take a moment in your plank now to even stay somewhat in this explorative process. So you're still moving and now feeling a little bit more strength, right, that you're calling for. You might feel a little bit more integration, or maybe you start off by feeling completely disconnected and you're seeking to create more integration. And then I want you to find stillness right here in that plank. I want you to really feel that connection through your hands, even through your toes, and then the tension that it creates through your entire body. Notice your breath. And maybe that's even an opportunity for to start tuning a little bit more into somewhat of a breathing pattern for yourself. Deep, long, fully expressed. From here now, guys, bow the head, chin to chest. Big press, feel that first protraction, cobra hood. And then rolling into your extension is ever so slowly, right? Stay high on your tippy toes. All the way until you complete, and then find extension first before you lower your heels towards the floor. And then even take a moment here, right, as you're opening up a little bit more of the back line of your body. Again, finding subtle movement, Again, you want to feel and be in tune with all the nuanced expressions in your body. Noticing where you feel tight, where you feel restricted. And through that, experiencing each of our individualities. But again, with this philosophy, with this idea of being in a constant state of observation. Back to stillness. Finding your breath. As we now move into our first rolling wave, again, slow, right? Keep the extension in your spine, rising high onto the balls of your feet. Begin drawing the chin to the chest, pubic bone to the navel, and start rolling forward vertebra by vertebra, cinching the ribs. And then notice, maybe it's just a feeling, a knowing, when your shoulders stag above your wrist. Hold here. Press just a little bit more. Keep that chin connected to the chest and begin melting your hips slowly. There's no rush. You want to be present to each moment of transition. Now, as your hips fully lower, maybe even allow yourself to sink a little bit more into your shoulder girdle. To then find that rotation, shoulders back and down, gaze forward, rise and reach. Strong legs. See if you can relax your glutes a little bit. No tension, right? If you're noticing any tension in your body, see if you can soften a little bit. Now from here, chin to the chest, bow the head. Big press. Feel your strength. Don't start rushing, right? You want to work. Again, as you are moving through each vertebra at a time to find length first and then the heels lower. Big exhale here. Maybe walk the feet slightly together or a little bit more forward as we're preparing for our first floating or stepping, right? If you like, the first round can be a step. If you are warmed up enough, if you have a practice of floating, feel free to go until everybody else meets in the prayer squat. So feet draw together if you're stepping. Right leg extends, rolling lunge, right? So you're drawing your knee all the way towards your triceps. You stay leaning, you lower the foot. If you already did your prayer squat float, step it back or float it back one more time. Same here, as you're stepping the left leg forward, I want you to stay in that lean, stay in the press. Work that transition until we all meet in our prayer squat here. Good. Now lengthen the spine. Feel the connection through the feet again. I want you to even shift slightly. Notice if your heels are off the ground. Come a little higher, right? This is about you having the ability to still move freely. And again, awaken to parts in your body, to subtleties in your body that you might just rush over oftentimes. Feel your entire spine erecting. Crown of the head rises. Soften the shoulders. Notice if you are starting to tense up a little bit. Release. Breathe. Lower the hands towards the floor. Can be either on your fingertips or palms flat on the ground. Slowly begin extending the leg and keep your spine fully extended. Notice if you have to adjust anything, maybe walk your hands further forward, further back, until you come into really a full extension of your legs, if possible. You might need a little micro bend, but keep the spine long. And I want you to come high onto the balls of your feet. Yeah, slow, right? We're gonna move slowly through this. Now, find this little hugging, right? The drawing of the heels towards each other. Rock back into the heels. dorsiflex, right? You toes, the ball of foot comes off the ground. Now, internally rotate. Maybe your toes are already touching, great. Then again, one more shift into your tippy toes to fully complete this transition into your forward fold. Slight knee and bending in the knees. And allow your upper trunk to really melt over your thighs. Close your eyes if you like. Little adjustments at all times, right? Every time we come into a new space, a new container, a new environment, notice, right? Take a moment first to observe what you're feeling. What are the sensations in the body? And what do you want to create from that place, right? What parts need to be awakened, expressed? So from here, you can actually start finding smaller or bigger spinal undulations, right? If you want to start with very small ones, or you start rising a little higher up, until eventually we find a rhythm again together. Now, everybody forward folding, soft knees, strong feet though. Keep that connection through the ground. Pubic bone draws to the navel, ribs cinching in. And now activate your entire posterior chain as you lengthen into this halfway lift. Hold here just for a second. Same, notice shoulders, glutes, quads, shins, calves, ankles, feet, everything. Before now, you stay very strong in your base and you allow your upper trunk to slowly begin melting over your legs. Good, one more time, rise and roll, right? Vertebra by vertebra. Feel really this order that you're creating of bottom of the spine, initiating the transition. And you'll find your little flow. Do 2 more on your own. Don't begin moving faster. Just make it more seamless, right? There is no stopping at any moment of the transition, even though you're fully experiencing each moment of this transition. Last extension here. Release, soften. This time you're going to rise up all the way into standing, just the same way, right? We begin rolling, vertebra by vertebra. Keep your arms relaxed all the way into your hands, into your fingers, and take your time. Again, you want to feel the stagging of each vertebra until you find your full posture here in the standing position. Take a moment, close your eyes. Breathe. Feel your alignment, right? There's nothing to see. And at any time you want to use hands or anything to adjust, to enhance, feel free to use that. Again, feel the connection through the feet. Strong, right? There's almost this energetic pull from the earth up through the legs, the center point of our pelvis, through the spine, rising all again through the crown of the head. Now from here, reach your arms all the way up, right? See if you cannot change anything but the reaching. Interlace your fingers, index fingers pointing up, sword mudra. Now, lengthen just a little bit more, right? Imagine someone is pulling you by your arms up. Remain strong in your core, right? Don't start collapsing into your lower back, but reach up and slightly back behind you. Now here, if you want, you can release your arms and actually create a little support system in your lower back to bridge the hips just a little bit more forward, maybe even enhancing that opening here in the shoulder girdle. And now, keep your spine long and find a hinge right by the hips. maybe a little micro bend if necessary, or keep your legs straight. Now, arms open to the side. Open them wide. Imagine you're really creating a lot of space here. You're moving walls. Fully extend your arms and dive until you find that point of tension again. Maintain your hamstrings. Stay here. Keep your spine long. And see if you can soften a little bit. More and more into the depth and lengthening of that space. And now fully surrender. Here. Head, arms, everything gets heavy. Forward fold. Maybe even reach behind your legs and enhance more of this opening, right, of your back line. Again, take a moment to even notice your head again. Are you holding tension? Are you trying to peek somewhere? Or are you really allowing the head to completely relax? I even like to sometimes here kind of pull my hair a little bit to create even more release and relief from all the tension around the brain, around the head. Okay, we've got some work to do here. So, let's start with placing our hands on the ground. I would always say about a hand length away from our feet. Now, if your feet are wider, bring them to touch, okay? A little tuck position here, so you want to lower your hips all the way down towards your heels, but you can actually come onto the balls of your feet. Now, we're going to take a little moment to explore our strength, right? To explore where our maximum, our end range, our end potential currently is. So what I want you to do is shift forward, use your cobra hood press, and now notice, can you actually lift maybe 1 foot, 2, and then even just fall forward. Falling or slowly resisting forward. Reset. Back onto the balls of your feet. One more time, just like that. Notice how long, right? If you're already strong, how long can you hold this tuck position? Bend your arms and slowly melt forward, right? No fear to fall forward. This is now building more and more strength. This time, no jumping. You can slide or float back, okay? I don't want to see any one of you speeding through this. We're working through this together, okay? So, as we lean forward, if you're choosing to step, find your 90-degree chaturanga angle. Step 1, step 2, hold chaturanga. Hold it here, get long. And we want to lower slowly to the ground. Right into our prone. Good. Our legs should still be active, right? Knees off the ground. Toes tucked under. So now from here we can just simply draw the knees forward. Take a moment, guys. I want you to experience your entire back line. So as you're pointing your toes, really push the tops of the feet into the mat. Now draw your shoulders back. Elbows hugging to the waistline. Feel how you're really shortening that whole posterior chain along your spine. Now, this is when the exchange happens. Pubic bone to navel. Chest will come off the ground. Chin draws to the chest. And we slowly straighten our arms as the hips melt. Upward facing dog. So really press the ground away. Draw the shoulders back. Active legs. Gaze forward. Now here we bow the head, chin to chest. Big press. And now again, vertebra by vertebra, no rushing. Slow, conscious movement. Turning 1 foot at a time. Downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Good, that was our first round. We'll move through section 1. One more time. This round, slightly more seamless, okay, in this flow. So, downward facing dog if you are in a kneeling position. Keep your feet slightly apart, hip width distance ideally. And we take a rolling wave. So you begin elevating onto the balls of the feet. Keep your spine straight. Now pubic bone draws to the navel. Cinch the ribs in, chin to the chest. Roll forward. Notice when your shoulders are stacked above your wrist. Begin melting the hips. Imagine there's a weight right on your hips, but you're resisting the dropping. Now begin opening up. Engage the posterior chain, lengthen up. Gaze forward. Bow the head reverse, chin to chest. Big press. Feel the spread of your shoulder blades first. Feel how your entire front line begins to work. Lengthening, downward facing dog. As soon as you find down dog, bend the knees or draw the feet together. Step with strength, with commitment, or float. Floating probably 2 or 3 times until we all meet. If you're floating, guys, it is a float, okay? It's not a jump. You don't necessarily have to find an inverted position, hips over shoulders, but you want to resist the lowering and the dropping of your feet. This is all about working a very conscious and aware transition of being in your strength, of accuracy, right? Even if you're already strong, how accurate are you? How much sensitivity do you have in each transition? Good. By now, we all should be here. So now, prayer squat, long spine, grounding through your feet. Lower your hands to the floor. Begin extending the legs. As you find full extension, gracefully, right, transition the feet together to touch. As soon as they touch, soften. Slide bend in the knees, melting your upper trunk over your legs. So now 3 spinal undulations. And again, play a little bit with your expression, right? It doesn't have to look any specific way, but allow kind of your body to find its own version, right? You can play with your arms. You can come as high as you want. You come as low as you want. You can keep your legs extended. But again, understand what you want to create here. Now, this last one will take us all the way up to standing, slow. Right? Just because we're standing up, no need to rush. Squeeze the legs towards each other. Like imagine it's your trunk, right? It's your stance. From here, lengthen further. Reach your arms over the head. Either sort mudra as you start leaning back. Support your lower back with your hands. And then swan dive. Push the walls, right? Arms open. Slow transition. Good. Feel the tension build up. Then release. Forward folds. Maybe take one deep inhale and exhale here. Open your mouth. And shifting back into more strength. Right? Committing to do the work here. Lean forward. Find your version. Step, slide, float, hold chaturanga, and then lower down. Shoulders draw back, knees forward, point the toes, cobra roll. Rising. Find that opening. Bow the head, chin to chest, big press. Turning one foot at a time. We have one more round to do the work here. Here we go. Rolling wave. Rise and roll forward. I'll pick up the speed just a little bit. Remember, we will stop after each section so you'll get a moment to recover. Extend, upward facing dog. Reverse. Bow the head, chin to chest. Big press. As soon as you find that full extension, the heels lower, bend your knees. Floating frog. See if you can work this float. One more time. Moving on from stepping, right? You want to see where you're at with the floating, right? Maybe something you were resisting, something you were avoiding. Let's meet here, prayer squat. Long spine, grounding through the pelvic floor. From here now, hands to the ground, extending the legs, rising the hips high at the highest point, heel to toe, the feet together. As they touch, really feel that inner seam line connecting. Find 3 spinal undulations. Again, the work is here to make these transitions seamless, right? There is no ending. There's no beginning. There is just a being in this circle. Beautiful. Bow the head and now rising up all the way into standing. All the way up, vertebra by vertebra. Yes. At the highest point, reaching the arms, place your hands wherever you need them. Right? Really tune into what is needed. And then from the length, swan dive. Move the walls, create space. Dive forward into your deeper forward fold. Take one breath here. Settle in to prepare your mind to what is to come. Hands to the ground. Lean forward and do the work. Do the work. Find your edge. Hold chaturanga. Hold it. Everyone hold it here. Either in the tuck position or legs extended back. Hold it. Bend your arms. Gaze a little bit forward. Now lower down in one piece. There you go. Draw the knees forward. Point the feet now. And find your cobra roll. Fluid. Strong. Rising. Good. Now from here, bow the head. Chin to chest. Big press. Slow. I know it's the ending, but don't rush yourself here. Turn your foot one at a time. Bend the knees. Close your eyes. Sit back into Seiza. And again, guys, your version of Seiza, you could even be on your toes to open a little bit the soles of the feet. You can be in a cross-legged seat. I don't care. You find your version of it. And take a moment again to observe. Notice the subtleties of your breath. Notice any shift, right, that is already noticeable in your body. See and notice and feel how awakened you are, right? How you have just turned on your body's energetic flow, space, strength, integration, expression. So you are prepared, right? We even say you have prepared and open up to the battle, to the dance, however even you relate to this work and the practice, right? So section 2, we call it the divided mind. So what is your mind divided about, right? You could even tap into a little bit what we said earlier about holding opposing ideas, right? It could be someone else's idea and your idea. It could be even opposing ideas within yourself, your past version, the version you're growing into being. It could be old beliefs, beliefs that have been passed down to you, versus this intuitive feeling, right? And almost like an inner knowing that this is not you. You are meant to be more expansive than that. So there's a lot of this tension here now that we want to explore physically, mentally, emotionally, of being in that state of division, right? Almost of fragmentation in self. So it can feel like a battle, right? Because I'm fighting myself. Even if I'm fighting someone else, I'm still fighting a part of myself. And then it might even become somewhat more of a dance throughout, right? Where I'm allowing myself to maybe move a little bit more in one direction, and then I remember, oh no, this is not who I was, and I kind of fall back. So even the whole sequencing really expresses that, right? From this warrior energy that we're bringing, the target, the battle, attack, defense, retreat, falling, rising, coming back. It's all expressed in that. It's right there. Right? So maybe there's something right now in your life where you feel indecisive, you feel divided. Use that as fuel, right? And do your work. Remember, we're going to move through this at our current 100%, right? We're moving slow. We can really explore every single idea. And that will take some energy, right? And it will give us a good work through even that process of resisting, doing the work. So from here, let's open our eyes and begin again, building it from the foundation, right? So you're gonna reach forward into a 4-point base. In your 4-point base, shoulders aligned over your wrists, step back, right? Always stepping back first into a very strong, integrated plank. Now, chin to the chest, big press, and we're gonna roll back, vertebra by vertebra. First into extension again, stay high on the balls of the feet, and then lower the heels, maybe a slight bend in the knees. Okay, settle back into your breathing pattern. Use that again as fuel for you to move through the sequence. At any time your breath got you, right? When you feel tired, fuel your body with oxygen. Draw the feet together. Right leg extending, slow, right? Don't kick that leg up. I want you to reach your leg back, demi-point your foot. Now find the highest point without opening up your hips. Keep your hips square. Fold your heel to your sits bone. Keep the knee at that highest point. Now elevate onto the ball of the left foot. Just notice this, right? Notice how you're entering this transition. Now draw the knee down the midline. Chin to the chest. Now pushing through this left foot, roll forward into that cobra hood press. Don't lower your foot yet. I want you to actually hug your heel closer to your sits bone. Hug your knee closer to your chest. And then slowly place the foot on the ground. Wherever it lands, it's good, as long as you did your work. So maybe now, slide your hands a little bit back. Readjust here. Left hand is on the ground. Right hand becomes a fist. Now first just draw your fist all the way to your shoulder. Stack your shoulders. Hold that. Imagine you're pulling an arrow back because we're about to rise, right, and out to our archer. So bend your left knee, scissor the legs, gaze forward. See your opponent, see your target. And now you want to stay as balanced as possible as you rise up, slow and controlled, slow and controlled. See your target, arrow pointed right at it. Sit really low into this stance. Your front leg should be parallel to the ground. Now open the palms of your hands. They become sword blades. Circle the left arm over the head. Open the hips, open the shoulders, lower your back foot, reach your right arm out in front, warrior 2. Good, now from here we'll transition back. Shuffle the feet, pivot, circle your arms, horse stand, hold it. See if you can sink just a little bit deeper. Good, arms cross. Shift into your left leg. Pivot your front foot, blade edge, parallel to the beginning of your mat. Now, high and low block. High and low block. Your back foot is slightly internally rotated. Good. Now right hand, grab the sword. Stay low as you transition back forward. So pivoting on the ball of the right foot. Knee opens up. Lower your left arm slightly as you reach your right arm out in front. Yes. See if you can touch your rib cage onto your thigh. Lengthen and counterbalance. Notice your left foot, right? We're really taking into account all the details. Now as your right hand lowers your left arm, big circle, opening into a side body. Feel this for a moment. Don't go anywhere yet. Feel the left sideline lengthening. Anchoring through your left foot, blade edge. Now, this is when we transition to close. Close the hips, square out the shoulders. Maybe adjust your back foot if you notice yourself too long. Here now, framing the front foot, press first, cobra hood. Start finding all this activation again through the front line of the body. Heel to the sits bones. Press, push, extend, and rolling through your spine into a three-legged dog, and then into a downward facing dog, both feet touching. Nice work. Now left side, we're gonna move through a little bit more seamlessly, but now we awakened to the details. So we wanna make sure that at all times, we are still aware of them, okay? So, feet together, left leg extends. Slow extending and rising. Remember, demi-point, square hips. At the highest point, fold the heel to the sits bones, rising up first. Now, rolling lunge, knee towards the chest, pushing through that right foot, chin to chest, big cobra hood press. The most you can get, place the foot right in between your hands or as close as possible. Now left hand, pull the arrow back. All the way to find the stagging here. Imagine again, bow and arrow, really want to create tension in the ability to shoot the arrow. Bend the knee, gaze forward, see your target, rise up, controlled, balance. Don't lose your target as you're moving. Now, blade hands, circle the right arm over the head. Stay low in this transition, right? Don't avoid the work here through the legs. Warrior two, we transition back. Notice again, are you getting loose here? Pelvis, core, arms cross. Readjust the feet, double block. Blocking high, blocking low. Grab the sword right by your belt. Pivot your front foot. Again, open up into this deep reaching warrior. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen to the max. Don't forget your base foot, right side. Circling, left hand to the ground, right arm opens. Reach. Framing your front foot, adjust whatever needs to get adjusted. Big press. Heel to sits bones. Then push right to the extension. Left leg high, square hips, demi-point. Lower the left foot to the right. Give yourself a little bit space in between your feet, in your down dog. We're gonna throw in a rolling vinyasa. So here you go, rising up. Elevate into the balls of the feet. Pubic bone to the navel. Chin to the chest. Cinch the ribs in. Rolling into your cobra hood press. Now, hold. When your shoulders are above your wrist, I want you to gaze forward. Yes, now shift into your fingertips. As far forward as you can. Draw your shoulders back, elbows in. Lower down with control. Beautiful. When you find prone, draw the knees forward. Point your feet. Cobra roll right there. Pubic bone to navel. Rolling into your upward facing dog. Yes, reverse chin to chest. Big, big press. Take your time. Work this part. No rush. Turning one foot at a time. Back to your downward facing dog. Draw the feet together. What's the work here? What are you fighting right now? Are you tired? Do you want to stop? Can you find a little bit more? Here we go. Right side. Right leg extends. Demi-point square hips at the highest point. Fold. Rise and find that push, right, as you're rolling forward. Big cobra hood press. Place the foot as far forward as you can. Work it. Now again, draw the right fist to the shoulder. Pull the arrow back. Gaze forward, bend your knee. Scissor the legs as you rise up. Full push and pull. Notice again, where are you cutting corners, right? Where are you not the fullest expression of what this could be for you? Release, arms circle open. Low stances, guys, low stances. Take it back, all the way back. Deep squat here, right? Arms cross to open up. Pivot the feet, double block. Okay, we're going down, but not for real, we're just lowering, right? So now, hips back, push, right? Push and block. Right toes, face them up towards the ceiling. Don't get vain here, but also don't get lazy. Use your hands if you need to. Sit. Half squat. Right hand, reach it behind you. Give yourself enough space. You know what you want here. You want stability in this warrior's bridge. So, circle the left arm and find your bridge. Now I want you to hold your breath for a moment and look. Shoulder, right shoulder above your wrist, left knee above your ankle. Does that feel stable? Does that feel you could bear someone's weight? Or would the structure collapse? Blade edge, right foot on the ground. Long side body here, reaching through your left fingertips. Now, guard your face. Slowly lower the hips. Control this descending. If you made any adjustment in your legs, open back up. Now circle over your right leg. Find the spiral coming up. Back here. Low drop stance. Right hand grab the sword. Through the squat. Wide squat. Work that outer line. Pivot the front foot. Now we're going to reach and really lean into our right leg to rise up. Into our flying warrior. Now here, I want you to really lengthen, guys. Into your right fingertips. The left fingertips reaching into the opposite direction. Open shoulders. Open hips. Work your standing leg. Now, especially as you lower, resist just falling out of this. Find the ground with your left toes. Transition back. Double block. And immediately bounce back. Attack. Grab your sword again. Reaching deep to circle. But remember, always have this balance, this anchor through your back foot. Remember where you came from. Hold strong before you just overcommit forward. Big press. Right leg extends. Push it back. Three-legged dog. Square hips. Fully extended leg into demi-point. Lower the foot. Downward facing dog. Take one big breath here. If you're doing a work, you should be feeling this. Moving into the left side. Feet together, left leg extends. Demi-point square hips, find the highest point, rolling lunge. Draw the heel to the sits bones. Rise up, big press. Find the stack. Lean a little bit more, place the foot. Good, now. Draw the arrow back. Bend the knee, gaze forward. See your opponent, see your target. Anchor your vision to it. Rise up, balance. Open into warrior two. Good. Where did you come from? Keep your gaze forward. Now transition back. Yes, stay low when you're transitioning back. Double block. Blocking high, blocking low. Now from here, slowly sit back. Sit back, duck that kick, right? Duck what is about to knock you out. Find the floor, left hand bases, and warrior's bridge. Same here, take a moment, look at the details. Blade edge, left foot, Jimena, on the ground. Yes, push the ground away. Find that stack. Shoulders, hips, ankle, knee, and slowly begin melting the hips down. Guard your face. Readjust your legs, feet, anything that's necessary. Circle up, find the spiral in the body. Now, left hand takes you all the way forward. Deep reach. Through that deep reaching, rising up, fly. Balancing, guys, balancing. Work that part. Gaze forward, open shoulders, open hips. And keep working it, right? You're not in a shape. You're moving into it more and more. Lengthen more. Rise more. Anchor more. Now, exit, control, bend the standing leg. Find the floor, shift back, double block. And as soon as you find double block, grab the sword again, deep reaching. Again, remember, counterbalance. Don't overcommit forward. Find that anchor through your back foot. Left hand to the ground, big circle with the right arm. Open, breathe. Close it out. Frame your front foot, big press. And heel to the sits bones. You're still in the battle, guys. We got one more round, right? Just stay committed. Stay committed to using your breath. Stay committed to using your mind. Your body is capable of. One rolling vinyasa, so slowly open your feet a little bit. Give yourself space for your lower back. Rise and roll. Keep your spine extended before you push forward. Into your cobra hood. Now again, from cobra hood, let's reach and peek forward. Lengthen, really lengthen. Shoulders should be past your fingertips. Draw your shoulders back, cinch the ribs in, and slowly lower. Elbows in, elbows in, elbows in. In one piece. Draw the knees forward, point your feet. Cobra roll, but no rush. Move through every stage of it. Feel what it takes to do the work, right? Feel it in the body, feel it in the mind. Now, chin to chest, big press. Cobra hood first. Rolling through the spine, turning one foot at a time, and already draw them together. So you're set up for your last side. Last round, best round, right? Most effort, most focus, most resilience, most anti-fragility. Anything you want this word to be for yourself. Right leg extends. Rolling lunge, fold, rise, roll. See if there is just a little bit more. Last inch. Place the foot. Good. Now, draw the arrow back. Gaze forward. Push and pull. Rise. Shoot. Open up. Now, guys, work. Stances. Warrior. Here. Transition through. Horse stance. Double block. Lower down. Controlled. Control. Use your hands. Be intelligent, right? Make intelligent choices. Adjust where you need to. Base your right hand. Warrior's bridge. Hips lower. Spiral. Use that energy. Take yourself forward. Drop stance. And from here, take it all the way into your flying warrior. Slow, slow, slow. Shoot it forward, but with control. Balancing. Reaching. Are you ready for that fall? Swing the left leg through and forward. Turn. Fight. Balance. Don't fall. Don't let that left leg drop. Work it. Hold it. Posture. Don't go anywhere yet. We're holding it here. And now we're slowly working this descending. Right? We're not just falling without any control, with any ability to recover. Here, still, lengthen. Resist just falling forward. Notice your ability to, with just one last grip, you're able to not completely be thrown. Now, as we slide the hands, I want you to again lean and work. Work this coming down. Control and rise. Knees draw forward. Upward facing dog. To reverse, chin to the chest, bow the head. Big press. Turning one foot at a time, and again, every ending is the new beginning, left side. Rise, reach, roll. All the way into your cobra hood. Adjust the feet, pull the arrow back, gaze forward, rise. Open. Again, full depth. Moving through the full depth of your abilities here. Arms open, double block, lower down. Don't get too hard, don't get too stiff. Still find fluidity, the spiraling energy that keeps you moving. Use it. Sit back low. Spiral circle up. Left hand grabs the sword, reach, fly. Again, tension in the body creates this integration. Now when you're ready, swing the right leg through, turn. Again, don't allow your right leg to just simply collapse. Again, work this descending. Bend your left knee, still gaze forward, slide your hands. Push, press, lower. Set it up. Cobra roll from here. Open, big breath. Surrender, bow the head. Take it back. Turning one foot at a time. Close your eyes, lower the knees. Seiza. Your seat of choice. And again, first noticing any physical sensations and shifts. See if you can connect to your breath and take somewhat of control over it, right? Something that is intrinsic to us, right? Where there is no necessity of altering, but there is the ability to do so. So I want you to calm the breath, deepen and lengthen it. Again, use it in your favor. See how you can shift. Notice your nervous system. Notice how you can create more grounding after all that agitation, all the battle, all the fighting, right? Use this as a tool when you feel all that anger rising in you, all that resistance, all your defense mechanisms, all that you build up over so many years. And maybe it has worked. Maybe all these strategies have worked for those years, but we all will hit a point in our lives where they no longer serve us, where you might find a tribe that calls you out on it, where you might hit that moment where all that persona, all that defense that you've built up, this guard, has to come off, right? And this is really what section 3 is so much about for me. It's called pride, right? And in German, I think there's a beautiful way to even describe pride. We call it false pride, falscher Stolz, right? Where we are so seduced and all these ideas about who we are, how we want to be perceived, where we're building, right, the persona, the guard, like I was saying. But what this is not allowing us to do is truly connect with ourselves, truly connect with each other, because we are constantly just trying to uphold to something that we feel like makes us feel safe, right? We get so prideful, so protective, so defensive. And we confuse that as us, right? We oftentimes just think, well, this is just who I am, right? This is me. This is normal, right? Like we were talking about earlier. But is that necessarily natural? Is that who we would be if we completely felt abundant, expansive, and not contracted, not restricted? So maybe there's a part of you that you already know, or someone told you. Maybe you just recently got something pointed out for you, right? There's like a little light, and you're like, yes, I know that's me, but me really who I can be, not necessarily who I intrinsically am, but I'm just so used to being this way. And I use this because I think it gives me some sort of sense of control. So section 3 will be all about looking at that dance, right, of this part of yourself, whichever you want to choose, that you are still unresolved about, right, or that you are in process of dissecting and maybe even understanding a little bit better. Not necessarily where it came from, but when it shows up for you, and then how you can make a different choice, okay? So let's go on this little journey. Starting again, building it from the foundation up. Let's reach forward, create a 4-point base. Now from there, stepping back into your plank. Strong plank. You should feel somewhat recharged, somewhat recovered. Chin to the chest, big press. Extension, down dog. Okay, if you know the sequence, you know where we headed. It's sit through or float through. If you're still working on that part, which you will always be working on a part, even if you already got it, there's the next level, right? Even that is somewhere like, oh yeah, I got this. No, you didn't. There's always a little bit difference, a little bit nuanced expression of what you're working on. So you can step into position 1, float into position 1, sit through, whatever it is. I want you to just make sure you're working through this. So here we go. Float to position 1 if you like. Stay leaning forward, working the feet, and you butt all the way through before you sit, because that is the work, right? We're not just falling back and hoping for the best. Here we go. Both pose. Same here. No rush, right? I can even fix my hair right now, and I'm in it, all entangled around my mic. Long spine. Demi point in your feet. All the little details. Hug the legs towards each other. Lengthen through the spine, through the crown of the head, into my fingertips. Now, keep this posterior tilt. Extend the legs, begin leaning back. Still hug the legs towards each other. Lower, upper trunk, lower trunk. Take a moment, hug your lower back into the floor. Notice if you're now in this tendency of just relaxing, I want you to stay active. Feel your lumbar really hugging into the floor. Now, Find a way to reach your arms over the head, your expression. Stay active through your feet. Demi-point, hug the legs. And now slow reaching up. No momentum, all that fire here. Right. And then slowly reach the feet over your head. Now guys, plow. Don't get stiff. Bend your knees if you want. Don't even try to get your hips over your shoulders. That's not where we want to go. We just want to try to close the gap of our thighs towards our belly, maybe even chest, but still find a softness in here. Notice you can even lift your head off the ground, okay? No reason to build up any tension in this place. Notice also you can still breathe naturally into other places of your body. Good. Now we're headed into iron footstool, which is basically a chair pose on the balls of our feet. If you already know that you need some assistance for the transition, good. Use your hands and make a graceful choice here. Okay, if you're good, just roll through a little narrow squat, and we're all gonna meet in iron footstool. Shift, rise. And I want you to really be at the highest point. So the highest pair of high heels you ever wore. See if you can keep your hips right above your heels. Squeeze your legs. Your quads should be parallel to the ground. Good. Feel that resistance build up. Now reach your hands to the floor. Slow, slow, slow. Hands base. Good. Now, straight arm crane. And I mean it. If you already have a bent arm crane, that's not what you're gonna do. If you don't have a straight arm crane yet, you're gonna work at your current straight arm position. So it could be like you're leaning and you're just leaning. Your feet don't come off. Then maybe one foot comes off, maybe two. Maybe you play a little bit with switching, but I want to give you a few moments to work with yourself. Okay, work with what it feels like working at that edge. Working at not giving in to what you already know. Remember, courage lies in the places of the unknown. Go there, lean into it. One more time, this last one, I want you to hold for just a couple of breaths, wherever you are, but with your straight arms. Go for it. One breath, two, lower the feet, control your exit, open the knees, and slowly posture up here. You can even rest on your sits bones for a moment, right? I want you to now focus on lengthening, right? Opening here, shoulders drop back and down. Even feel a little bit of weight on your feet, but still really being on the balls of your feet. Now open your knees a little bit wider. Use your glutes. Good, hands in front of your chest. Sword mudra. Now hover. Just lift a little bit off. Good. Don't lose anything else. Stay with that. Gaze to your fingertips. Index fingers. Now reach your arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Feel how shaky that gets. Feel how you gotta work a little bit more. Now reach your arms in front. Draw the legs together. Stay low. Look at this. You're basically on iron footstool with your feet on the ground, quads parallel now. Twist the chair to the right side. Good, open up. Feel this fire burning in your legs. Feel all the words screaming in your mind. Stay with it. Use your breath. Now shift your weight into your right leg. Left heel recoils. Now begin expanding your arms, opposite direction. Spread them wide. Left toes on the ground, circle up. Into a warrior two. Stay low, guys. Work it here. Double block. Whew. Little relief on that right leg. Should feel good. Now, revolve flying warrior. Left hand. Grab the sword. Stay low. Right? Don't avoid. Turn. Pretty much into this little lunge. Right toes pointing forward. Rise. Revolve flying warrior. Square hips this time. Left palm facing up. Right fingertips reaching back. Posture up. So left heel to the sits bones. Posture. Really anchor through your standing leg. Imagine two walls. You're in this little confined space, but you're not losing your focus. Left leg extends. Demi point, recoil. Warrior three, so reach the left leg back. Slow, control. Take your time to make micro adjustments. Reach your arms in front, gaze forward. Now from here, left leg, swing it in front, turn, catch. Work it, work it, work it. Release to the ground. Sweep the fingertips, dive. All the way down to the floor, cobra roll. Beautiful work, guys. Flow through this, right? Make your cobra roll that big breath. That's almost like a place where you come back to. It's like home. Bow the head. Yes, chin to chest. Take yourself back. Downward facing dog. Beautiful. Beautiful work. Stay in it, right? Even if you're thirsty, even if you gotta fix something, even whatever, doesn't matter. Not right now. That's not the time. Left side, we're ready. Work this little first transition. Stepping, floating to position one, floating all the way through. Either way, you are working. Sitting through, yes. Once your booty hits that ground, long spine, boat pose. Again, all the details from your feet all the way into the crown of the head. Slowly begin lowering, upper trunk, lower trunk. Make this a slow transition. Feel the entire front line of your body working. Now, as your shoulder blades touch, heels touch, reach the arms over the head, back of the head touches too. Lower back, guys. Find that connection. Use that armor to reach. Be in your strength. No cheating. No laziness. No rushing over. Soften. Be here in your little plow position for a moment. Feel now here really this beautiful dance between strength, activation, and some softness, and the subtlety of a surrender and almost letting go, right? As here you can really play with what is too much, not enough. Good, we know what is coming for us. A hardcore iron footstool. So remember, you're gonna roll forward onto the balls of the feet, quads parallel to the ground. See if you can simply find it, because you're moving into it slowly. See something right in front of you, anchor your vision to it. Again, feel the buildup. Feel all the things that come with it. All the shaking, all the thoughts. Use your breath. Lower the hands. One time, your version of a straight arm crane. and emphasis on straight. One breath. Exit with control. Feet to the floor. Sit. Open the knees. Roll your spine into extension. Arms meet in front. Sword mudra. Right? You're holding that sword right by your heart. Focus your mind. Settle your breath. We're moving into what is oftentimes really hard for us to stay in, right? But I want you to be in this commitment, to be in your full depth, be in it 100%, okay? So now from here, slightly hover, start activating everything. Gaze, fingertips. Reach your arms up and in front. Here now, this is when you find your angle. Quads parallel to the ground, open into a seated twist here. Now shift your weight into your left leg. Begin spreading your arms wide. Step the right leg behind you. Toes touch, circle up. Stay low, guys, stay low. Warrior 2, horse stance, double block. Feel that flushing through that left leg. Now grab your sword, right hand. Grab it on the ground. We're gonna turn. Lunge to the left now. Spear forward as you reach back. Lengthen, active posterior chain. Now, posture up. Balancing work here. Sword mudra. Bring it right leg high. Now extend it. Recoil. Posture first. Step your right leg back. Lengthen forward. Warrior 3. Square hips. When you're ready, swing that right leg through. Catch. Don't let your right leg touch the ground. Diving. Gracefully recover. Prone. Cobra roll. Yes. Smooth and strong. Down dog. And from there, as your feet turn, eyes close, lower the knees. Seiza. And again, take a moment to just take it all in. So as we've started to rip open, right? Because it can oftentimes feel like that, right? You're just ripping off layers, or you're shedding old skin, right? This is really what you really embody in this practice. I mean, I honestly feel that every cobra roll for me, just another layer, just another part of me, just another old skin that became too tight, right? That you just want to rip open, break free of, right? And we talk about this so much, right? And there's all these sayings and all those mantras and quotes, but what is it for you that you really resonate with, right? You have to find something, a visual, a saying, a feeling that you can really come back to when you catch yourself being stuck. And we all get stuck. I mean, this is just part of life and being with other people and our relationships and all the things we create in our life that just, I feel like in its origin and its core oftentimes feed into what we even want to be perceived as. And we just keep playing out the same dynamics and same games until we hopefully reach a point in our lives where either the people we're gravitating towards, or people who show up in our life, or where we just end up putting ourselves, put us in this workspace, right? And it is really a workspace at the beginning. where we have to just love the grind of that, right? We just have to be constantly okay and embrace the criticism, but the criticism and the pressure as something that fuels this growth, that fuels our desire even to change, and the acceptance that change is necessary. So that's the part of reassembling, unification. Section 4 is beautifully designed to embody this dance, right, of unifying all these parts that either were dormant, forgotten, rejected, or even the parts that we were really overusing, right, to compensate for something inside of us, a pain, a belief, something that we have this flame, this belief, this idea about ourselves that just keeps not really creating a healthy outcome, right? We just think it does temporarily, but if we dig a little bit deeper, we have to completely dissolve that to a place where it's not on autopilot, right? It's not on the driving seat any longer, but we can see that part of us. We can embrace it, but then we also see all the parts that we need to invite more into our life, right? And again, it's going to be something different for each of us, right? Some of us already are very strong, but are you also able to be soft? Some of us think that pushing through is what gets us forward, but are we really processing through that push? Are we really integrating through that push? And there are some of us who heavily lean into being super soft to the point where it's almost passive, right? We always have to look at what parts of ourselves we're leaning into and what these are creating, and what other parts need to come with it, right? We have to be more complete in our expression. So it's this reassembling, remembering, reunifying, fully integration. So let's move into section 4 and play with that, right? Embodiment. Okay, here we go. Again, starting with the 4-point bass, transition. And every time you go through this, you almost feel like you're newborn. Like, oh, I already forgot I did all these 3 sections that were killing me. Or you feel really open and ready. Okay, so here we go. Draw the feet together. Right leg extends. Rolling lunge, right? Same, with the same attention. Heel to sits bone. Rise, roll, push forward into your cobra hood. Now this time in cobra hood, I want you to gaze to the left, bend your left knee, pivot, so your heel faces forward to your right hand. And I actually want you to just sit for this first one, okay? Because I want you to really bring your attention to your alignment, shoulders over your wrist, knee over your ankle, okay? Now press out of the shoulder girdle, but your hips very low to the ground. Extend your right leg, extend your left arm. Now you're going to push into the blade edge of your right foot, left foot, right hand, and we bridge. Solid bridge. Remember, you want the ability to bridge someone off your body. Feel stable, feel strong. Lower, guard your face. Hips are almost touching the ground. Recoil, heel to sits bone. Hold your 2-point base. Now press out of the right shoulder girdle. Base your left hand. Pivot on your left foot. Keep turning so the blade edge of your left foot is on the ground now. Your right knee should be opening up. Notice where your left hip is. Bridge it forward, shoulders over your wrist, and place your right foot right behind you. So really want to work that big arch of the long back step. Warrior's bridge here. 3 points base, and you bridge your hips to the highest point. Lower. This time you can actually really sit, and we're going to bridge up and over to step into an outside lunge. So push, bridging, reach your right arm over like you're swimming. Base your right hand. Keep pushing through this left foot. Right knee to your triceps to place your right foot outside your right hand. Now keep that spiral. Half circle, low drop stance. Left toes facing up. Adjust if you need to. Warrior's bridge. Lower the hips down. We're going to circle over the right leg. If you need your hands, use them. Make sure this transition is graceful. Don't be clumsy. Don't be lazy. Good. Left knee, lower towards the floor. And a little shifting back. So for some of us, stretching is worse than working out strength. So feeling into that space here. Feel that posterior chain, especially obviously your right leg. Feel free to move a little bit in and out, right? And again, this can look different for all of us. Maybe it's a little bit more rotation in that leg. Maybe it is spinal undulation. You could even sit here, half hero pose. You could lean back. You could come into full split. Really up to you. Use this moment to just a little grounding. But you're still working and finding different parts, different aspects that you might not have felt before in this practice. Okay, let's take it back forward. So wherever you were, just come back into this little half split setup. Reach your arms in front. We're going to roll forward, vertebra by vertebra, to the point now where you can open your right toes a little bit to the side. Give yourself a little bit more space. Even if you want, slide the knee, the left knee a little bit back. And then again, imagine there's those weights on your hip bones that are really pulling you down. But then again, make this an exploration. Be curious about where you're noticing different sensations and move with it, right? Again, this doesn't have to look any specific way, but you investigating what you can find, how you can find it, where you want to find it. Close your eyes. And again, this is really more now a feeling space than thinking your way into anything here. Now, wherever you are, I want you to take a moment and base both of your hands underneath your shoulders. Okay, so you're finding the stack, you're finding the press. Your left knee can still be on the ground, but then actually extend the leg. So once we find this extension, you notice there's already some more activation. There's leaning forward. Because we want to step our left foot slightly forward, okay, into our Warrior One base. So Warrior One base here, very important for us in Budokon. Both our feet are facing forward, okay? So no external rotation with our back foot, but actually an emphasis on our back heel being really grounded. And I'm equally distributing my weight through both of my feet. Now, heavy in the upper trunk. Let's begin rolling up, vertebra by vertebra. Strong grounding through the feet, through the legs, into our Warrior One base position. Now when you're standing up, even take a moment again to notice what your feet are doing. Back foot, grounded. Back heel, anchored. Notice your hips. Keep them square, neutral. Our arms will reach behind. You can either interlace your elbows, or you can actually come into a reversed prayer pose here. Important though, shoulders back. Open here across the collarbones. Now straighten the front leg. Pull that right hip back. And let's start diving forward. Again, finding your edge. Where do you feel? Where do you feel tension? Where do you feel pulling? Where do you feel restriction? Adjusting, right? It's again staying very present to all the nuances here. Now I want you to bend your front knee and release your arms. Let your head again be very heavy. Arms are melting. And we're going to roll up this time into a full standing position. Right knee still bent. Warrior one base to reach the arms over the head. Yes, all the way into a full warrior one pose here. Now guys, it's a warrior pose. So really go deep into that front knee. See if you can go a little bit deeper without compromising your back heel. Back heel is anchored. Maybe you have to shorten your stance. Lengthen a little bit more through your side bodies. Beautiful. Gaze at your sword. See your sword right up there. Draw your sword to your heart. Down. Get light on your feet and start pivoting over your left shoulder. And as you're turning into your coiling dragon, start opening your arms into a double block. Blocking low, blocking high. Good. Hold your coiling dragon here, guys. Same, equal weight distribution. So both of your feet are very stable. I want you to even lean back a little bit more and lean forward a little bit more. Where's your gaze? Still right at your opponent. Good. Now, we're going to exit. Stay low in your transition. Over your right shoulder. Pivot, pivot. Adjust your feet because you know where you need them. What is your warrior one base? Left leg straightens, heel roots. Arms reach over your head. Deep bend in your front knee. Warrior one. And now again, draw the sword down to your heart. Start pivoting. Get really low each time you keep transitioning all the way into your coiling dragon. Adjust your back foot. And now let's lower down all the way onto your right knee first. Use your hands if you need any assistance to sit right into your seated dragon or seated twist. And again, there's a moment in your battle to gather. Eyes closed. Again, feeling right into all the little crevices. All those places in your hips that are so tight and restricted or so open and expansive. And then find length through here. Find binds, more twists. Beautiful. So now as we exit, we will be spiraling into a revolved flying warrior. So let's move together. First things first, we're going to shift back forward into our left foot and right knee. Now make sure you're curling your right toes under. Because look, when we lift here, we create that space for our right knee to turn open, coming right through a squat to turn over the right shoulder into a lunge and rise up. Flying warrior here, revolved. Again, take your time for lengthening through the fingertips into your left toes. Falling warrior, sweep and turn. Balancing, yes. Dive with control. Bend the standing leg. Hands down, forward sweep. Take it all the way down into your prone cobra roll. That is it. Upward facing dog, chin to chest, big press, take it back. Both feet turn. And right away, draw them together for our left side. Left leg extends. Here we go, dancing dogs, rolling lunge, forward into our cobra hood, big press. Now, right knee bends, gaze to the right side, 2-point base. Good, now here, hips are low, left leg extends, right arm reaches. Rise up. Hips lower. Good, now recoil. Let's work this transition here. Big, long back step, right hand on the ground. Pivot your right blade edge onto the floor. Now, resist placing this foot down. See if you have the ability to stop at any moment and then decide to place the foot on the ground. Warrior's bridge here. There you go. Good, hips lower. Load it up. Step up and over. Outside lunge. Same. I want this transition to be so full of control and strength that again you could stop whenever, wherever, and decide where you want to go next. And now sitting low, spiral back, reach your right hand behind, warrior's bridge. Yes. From your warrior's bridge, take it all the way over the left leg, turning into the lunge, shift back, lower the right knee, find a little bit of recovery, exploration, opening here. Yes, playing again with exploring different parts of your body in this container. One, of course, hamstrings, depending on your splits, calf, side body, hips, IT bends. Beautiful. And now when you're ready, slowly begin crawling forward, more into that container of our hip opener here, right? Either hands on the ground and different variations of that, however that looks like for you. Mm-hmm. Headed into our Warrior One world. So from here, base your hands again underneath your shoulders, right? Strong foundation from which we're building up. So right knee comes off the ground. Look, cobra hood presses. Lean into your fingertips. Step your right foot forward. And again, already here, you know where you're going with this. Right heel anchors. Left knee is bent. Upper trunk is heavy. And now I'm using my front line to then switch all the way into my back line to stand up. Reach your arms behind. Reverse prayer. Grab your elbows. Pyramid pose. So left leg extends. Hinging here, right at the hip. Keep your hips square. Long spine. Draw the shoulders back. Again, finding your edge and then soften into it. Left knee bends. Upper trunk melts over your leg. Release your arms, release your head, and then here, rise and roll. All the way this time, arms reaching over your head into our Warrior One. Sword mudra, gazing up, anchor more down. Really root down into your legs. Good. Draw your sword to your heart. Pivot. All the way, coiling dragon. Adjust your back foot. Sit low. Block high and low here. Right hand low, left hand high. Exit. Spin. Step the left leg out. Pivot your feet right back into warrior one. There you go. Right heel, really anchored to the ground. Square hips. Lower, arms. Draw the elbows down the midline. Start pivoting into coiling dragon. Coiling dragon, yes. Coiling dragon becomes seated dragon. Knee lowers. You sit, you twist. Good, again, feeling into all the little spaces here. What do you need? What do you need to adjust? Where do you create space? Plugged in? Plug it in where? Okay, one egg, guys. Okay. So from here, we're going to exit, right? And we're going to take our time to make it functional. So we had our left leg across. So we're going to shift forward. No, it's the other side. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Right leg is in front, left knee's bent. From here we go. We shift and curl your back toes under. Turn. Come across this little squat here, right? Grab your sword, shift forward into your revolved flying warrior. Again, lengthening. I don't want any knees bent. Posture, long, all the way into the ball of that foot. Now, when you're ready, you choose. Swing a turn, catch. Work this part here. Don't fall. Don't allow that leg to touch the ground. Yes. Dive. Long back leg, all the way down to the floor. And here we go. Rolling wave. Cobra roll. Upward facing dog. Back to downward facing dog. Big press. From here, guys, hold this, right? Hold your downward facing dog for a moment. Let's stay here because usually section 4, yes, dancing dog should be hard work if you're really working each transition, but this is also somewhat of a little less work than the other sections. So I want you to stay here, focus back on the narrative, right, as we're moving into section 5, our balancing section. What does that represent for each of us? This dance again of finding and losing balance, thinking we found ourselves and then we're losing ourselves again, because there is no ultimate place to be anyways, because every time you get there, you will still need to adjust, right? So this idea, the seduction of there is a final place, there's a final goal. We got to even strip the layers of that belief, right? We got to strip this idea and release ourselves of that idea that the work ever is done, right? So we have to be okay and in acceptance that change is the only constant, right? Another saying out there in the world of change is the only constant, and yes, it is, right? It will always come, and it's good. We have to thrive in change. We have to adapt. We have to be present to each moment so we can see the nuances, and then with that, make our pivot, make our adjustments, see again what is too much, too little. And balancing shapes are not really shapes, they're a process. So we will work this part physically in a way where we're really focusing on entering and exiting all these places. It's not about being in that balancing shape. It's really how I am creating my whole setup, my whole world around that balancing idea. Okay, so from here, from down dog, our first transition is again a floating sit through, either with a little pit stop in our position 1 cross-legged and working our way through, or working through the entire transition of the float. So here you go, bend your knees and work. Ooh, yes, all the way through into boat pose. Good, boat pose now. Again, demi-point, legs hug to then extend. Stay active here, find that posterior tilt. Shoulder blades down. Back of the head finds the floor, reach your arms over the head. And again, remember, your lower back wants to really be connected to the floor. Reach your feet over the head. And again, be in this dance of strong and supple, right? Find what is just enough, not too much, but that perfect sweet spot. Now, right leg folded behind the left. So you're creating this little figure 4 configuration here. So your ankle is kind of behind your left knee. You're gonna roll forward with control, use your hands anytime you need assistance into combat base. Combat base here, right knee on the floor so I can roll over my shin, left foot on the ground, and we're gonna bridge forward into our combat base. So now if you want, you can even curl your right toes under, anything you need to push yourself off the ground, and we will come higher up. Take your right leg with you. Now look, you're gonna find extension in your right leg, right arm into a half moon. So open up the hips, and I want you to simply be balancing on your left foot. Find a point on the ground. Notice again how this back leg is really working hard. Inner arch, outer arch, toes. Keep reaching through your right toes, reaching through your hands, and now we will exit by squaring the hips. And again here, balancing. Find it, lose it. Floor with your right toes and the right knee. Now look, you can use your hand as you sit back, almost like a little windshield wiper here. Both legs extend. Posterior tilt. Push. Imagine again, you're pressing the ground away almost. Lower back to the floor, shoulder blades, arms reach over the head, the legs follow with control, right? Use your strength. And then find that spot where you let go a little bit of it. Plow pose. Left leg now folds behind the right, figure 4, roll forward. Now let's see if we can make this seamless. We're rocking over our left shin, combat base, and begin rising. And again, find height first before you begin opening up. Open the shoulders, open the hip, and again, use that point on the ground with your eyes. That's the target, right? This is gonna help you find the centering ability. And then keep reaching, right? Spreading apart. And then slowly, as your hips square out, bend your right knee. Lower towards the floor. Find it first with your toes, the knee, and then spin back into your seated position. Both legs extend. There we go. Roll back. Supine. Into your plow. Slow reaching, right, guys? No rushing here. Plow pose. Same. Right leg now. Folded behind the left. We roll forward. Warrior's base. Rolling over your right shin. Now here, look. We're going to grab our left ankle, shin, knee. It doesn't matter. But as we shift into our standing leg, and we find this expansion again into a standing split, I want you to keep your hips square and find length in your upper trunk versus rolling over it. Shoulders back and lengthening through the crown of the head. And then, yes, you can start working a little bit more depth. Maybe your fingertips start crawling a little bit more down towards your ankle. Good. Exit. Control. No hands. No hands. All standing leg. Then your back foot bases. Circle around and find your transition back here into your supine and plow. Good. In your plow, left side. Left leg folds behind your right. Rolling forward. Right into the transition, right? So from that seated position, you're ready. Go ahead. Find your right foot, ankle, shin, knee, quad, and begin rising up. Lengthening in all directions. All the way into that demi-point foot. Square hips. Nice work. Exit with control. Yes, yes, yes. Good work, guys. Good work. Take it all the way back through seated, into your supine, into your plow. Beautiful work. Good. Now, the part that either gets everyone excited or to drop out. Handstands. We will work this piece a little bit together. So, right leg folds. Let's roll forward, back into our warrior's base. Back into combat base. And now look, guys, we want to just be here in our setup first. How does our setup look? It is our left foot basing, our hands, you find your distance, okay? Some of us can keep the hands very close to the foot and kind of press up. Some of us need a little bit more space. But now look, the right leg, I want it extended. It becomes your swinging leg. I want your hips to stay square the whole time. Now look one time so you know what I'm looking for. Even if you already have a handstand, this is how I want you to enter it. I want you to really just use that swinging leg and your push leg equally to come up and straighten. And I land back into this little runners. I come up, I straighten both of my legs as I find my little V or my L. Okay, so again, it's not about holding that handstand necessarily, but entering with control, exiting with control. If you can hold it in between, good for you. Hold it as long as you want. There we go. Let's do 10 on each side. If you already started, good. You'll do a little bit more. It's fine. So here we go. Start in your entry position. Swing leg and push leg. Work equally. So don't start getting in your head about it too much, but understand the principles, execute them. Imagine someone is pulling you up and then kind of holding you as you exit out. Yes. Good, we have probably 5 more. Now those last 5, I want you to really fight to give yourself a little bit of air time. Give yourself a little bit of air time there. Yes. Beautiful. Qué rico, Nelson Leon. Look at you. Good. Last one, guys. Last one. Last one, best one. And then when you exit, you land right back into warrior's base. And you shift. And you just shut the mind up. And you're like, okay, I have another chance on the other side to do my work. So from supine, we're going to roll into plow. This time the left leg folds behind. And we're going to roll forward. Same, nothing has changed. I want you to work entry and exit. If you happen to find some air time, amazing. But make sure that this is your priority, right? Swing leg, push leg. Reach, lengthen, resist, coming down, load it up, and then you go again. If you notice yourself falling out, even take a moment to reflect on why. Did you overshoot? Were you disconnected? Were you reckless? Were you vain? What is it? What part of you was showing up in that moment where you're scared. Why did you not give up? Why did you not give more? There you go. 5 more. Those 5 last ones. Fight for a little bit more holding. Fight for a little bit more. Yes. Fight for a little bit more details. I want straight legs, guys, because straight legs will help you. Laura. Good job. Straight legs are actually helpful. We get confused about that. Last one. When we exit, combat base. And like it never happened. Roll back. Legs extend. Supine. Into our plow. And our last balancing transition this time will be on our hands again. A crow. So let's roll forward, guys. Bend your knees. Use your hands if needed. Come into a squat. Okay? Crow and Budokon, wide arms. You can even, if you have a mat, place your hands outside of your mat. It's a wide arm push-up. Your arms want to be in a 90-degree angles. Your shoulders and elbows in one horizontal line. Now look, we're going to use our elbows even inside of our knees. This is a hip opener. So it's really balancing. It's not strength necessarily. So open. Place your hands. Now look, I'm literally just slowly leaning as I'm kind of melting, right? I'm really working on opening my hips. It's like a frog position. I keep leaning, leaning, leaning. Oh, my feet get light. Just draw them together. Kind of think about your big toes touching without activating anything but just active feet. Open hips. See if you can hold this for 5. Your shoulders and your hips in line. 4, 3, shoulders even drawing back. Maybe the hips open up a little bit more. 2, 1, and now slowly find the feet on the floor, and we sit back, and you literally, if you want, can collapse and hang a little bit in your joints right now. Because where we headed, animals, our section 6, which is called remembering. Okay, so this is really about remembering all kinds of different parts of ourselves. We could go all the way back into, yes, our primal nature. It could be back into childhood, right? Being playful, not being so much, again, in our head and so technical about it, but actually allowing our bodies intelligent, right? We have our own little genius in there to move us, okay? But I still want you to be technical about it. Meaning, I want you to work certain parts, right? Our crawling patterns really have an emphasis on strength, upper body strength. It is contralateral. There's so many bits and pieces that are very, very important to build, again, a very integrated body, okay? So what do we have here? The first set, leaping leopard, gorilla. We will do 4, okay? So if you have a mat, think about up, down, okay? And like really working the bits and pieces of it, okay? And then quick break, next set, quick break, last set. So this is where we get our little burnout, okay? Where we work this part of ourselves. Ready? So let's do this. Start in your squat. Our first transition will be a leaping leopard over the right shoulder. So when you leap up, leap as high as you can. Land like a cat. Here we go. 1 gorilla. Sweep the hands. Big press. Feet past your hands. Now again, leaping leopard left. Okay, 1 gorilla here. Here we go. Press and leap. And again, gorilla. Leap, and a last gorilla here. Rest. Okay, our next transition, leaping leopard. You're gonna fall out to Krakasana, fighting gorilla. Ready? So, leap and turn right shoulder. We're gonna fall out right onto our belly. Good. 2 Krakasana. Here you go. And now, fighting gorilla. Pop it back up. And here we go. Left shoulder, leap. Fall it out. 2 Krakasana. Fighting gorilla. Woo! Here we go. Right shoulder, leap. Fall. 1, 2. Fighting gorilla. Last round. Leap. Woo! Fall. And go. 1, 2. Good. Quick recovery here. Where's my mic? It just flew off. Good. Our last set will be a spinning monkey into chimpanzee. Now, a little less speed, more control, okay? So it's basically a little cartwheel action at the beginning to a reversed chimpanzee. So let's start here. Turn over your left shoulder into a little leap, just a quarter turn. Okay. Now, left hand will start reaching, and you come into your cartwheel transition. 1 limb at a time. Press, lower your right foot, left foot. We end up back on a squat. Now your back hand. Left hand will reach. Look, I'm squaring my hips forward. 1 chimpanzee. Reach, shuffle, squat. Return into spinning monkey. Left hand, right hand. Press, control, exit. Squat, left hand reaches. Square your hips up. Shuffle, squat. Now, half turn, leaping leopard to end on the opposite side. Here we go. Shoo. Perfect. Cartwheel, spinning monkey. Right hand, left hand. Press, exit. Right hand reaches, square your hips, chimpanzee. Woo. Last one. Right hand, left hand. Press. Hey. And here we go, chimpanzee. And now just a little spin, stepping back, or however you want to gracefully transition back into child's pose, seiza, whatever it is. Eyes closed. And again, take a moment, feel this aliveness in your body. We've been moving for 2 hours already. You guys are doing great. Right? This is just actually such a little window in our lives that we get to fully explore so many concepts about ourselves, right? If you even think about each section on its own, it reveals so many different layers of us, right? It reveals parts of where we already have done work, right? Where we might feel even a certain comfort in being in. But then there's almost this idea of catching yourself thinking that, right? Oh yeah, I'm already strong, or I'm already flexible, or I've already worked through this part of myself. But really taking a bigger microscope. This is what this work is really about. Like at all times, continuing to reflect, continuing to shed light, continuing to shed layers. Right? This is the way of the warrior spirit. This is the heart. This is the core. This is the essence. So that means along this way, there will be many, many deaths and many, many rebirths, right? And this one lifetime we have. We don't know if we will have another lifetime, but in the end, it doesn't matter, right? We just want to assume that this is the life we got, This is our one opportunity to have the richest, fullest, more meaningful, more purposeful, most loving life, where we actually are fully embraced in all these constant times of transformation, transmutation, change. It's riding those waves. It's even creating those waves. It's inviting those waves. It's exposing ourselves to constantly have to adapt, right? It's not even about avoiding distress so you can be your best version. It is inviting distress and still be that most developed version of yourself. Because I think oftentimes we seduce ourselves that, oh, if everything is perfect around me, I will be better. But no, it's when everything is chaotic, when everything is loud, when everything is just moving, can you be in the eye of that storm, right? And determined, courageous, and just not be moved, but decide where you're moving. That again is that warrior spirit, is your anti-fragility. That's your courage in the unknown. So if you like, for this section, as we're really coming out of this and just even being more in that space of, okay, all those little deaths, I'm now integrating, I'm processing, I'm meeting them with softness, with surrender, with love and kindness, compassion. You can keep your eyes closed. You can even wander off a little bit if you like. You know, this is really your closing practice. If you want to follow along, if you need to see, open your eyes. If you're good, just follow my cues. We want to start first in child pose, yes, and you can choose if you want to remain with your feet pointed, right, the tops of your feet rooted, or if you actually prefer to be with your toes curled under, and then grab your heels, right, grab your heels with your hands, create those little shelves, and use that to give yourself a little pull to roll up, okay, you're rolling up vertebra by vertebra. And again, there's no forcing. Even when you're like, oh my God, my hamstrings, my hip flexors, my quads, work with it. Soften, adjust, and then roll all the way up in somewhat of a camel pose, right? And again, your variation of it, your hands can be still on your heels, they can be on the ground, they can be supporting your lower back, but see if you can actually even soften your glutes a little bit, but still create this bridging action forward, broadening across the collarbones, and imagine feeling like someone is holding your head and like kind of pulling it gently back. Good. Now from here, let's reverse it. Chin draws to the chest. The shoulders pronate, draw forward. And we slowly begin sitting back, right? Sitting the hips back. And then as you sit a little lower, you can then just find that forward fold direction, forehead on the ground. Take a few breaths here, and when you're ready, just find your flow with that. Maybe twice more. Just rolling through this, undulating, and again, understanding the relationship between pelvis, shoulder girdle, the spinal abilities in between, moving strong but yet soft, letting your breath expand and open or contract, close. Maybe one last round, or you stay here if you like. Finding that opening. And as you take it back, we're all going to meet in this child's pose variation. Your hands now no longer on your heels, but actually beside your legs, kind of, I'd say fingertips in line with your knees, sort of, right? Just a good position. And when you sit up here, a little bit of a last effort of pressing and then sliding your feet all the way through. Yes, and then as you detangle or untangle and open your feet up, I want you to actually just hold. Place your hands here right at your shins and round back. So imagine someone's really spreading your shoulder blades open, chin to chest, pubic bone actively pulling towards your navel. And then even feel free to move a little bit here. Rotate the shoulders, the head, little circles. Maybe even a little play to a certain very nuanced extend in the hips. Because we worked our shoulder blades so hard, right? It's important to give them some love. And then when you're ready, slowly release and melt back along the spine to then eventually allow your head to completely rest. If you want, open your feet slightly wider and let your knees just come together for a moment. And even now, let your body just adjust into this, right? No forcing, just notice where it naturally goes. Even place your hands where they kind of naturally, intuitively fall to. Allowing your breath to just very gently become more and more subtle. And I walk your feet just a little bit closer, right? I personally like them as close as when I reach my hands towards my heels, so they basically touch them. Okay, so you want to create a very solid foundation for some bridging, right? So from here, I want you to move slowly through this, thinking of it really as a spinal undulation. So we will start with the pelvis. So the pubic bone will draw to the navel, and then you begin slowly to melt or peel, more so, your back line off the ground as you're pushing through your feet, magnetizing your thighs, your legs towards each other. And then if you want, at that highest point, even walk your shoulder blades closer together, interlace your hands, anything you want to enhance this. And then up here, even again, playing with glutes active, glutes soft, even playing a little bit with circles, letting your hips even tilt a little bit into different directions. You can even use your hands on your lower back and rest kind of into your hands, like you're being, like there's someone catching you right there. And then we want to release this with the same caution and awareness. So again, begin with this activation through the front line. So you're melting from the top of your spine all the way back onto the sacrum. And when you reach that point, you can again let the knees come together, the knees apart. That's all you decide. And if you want one more cycle of bridging, if you could even add a bigger opening here and come into wheel pose if you desire. Or you can just stay where you are, enjoy, and be curious about any other movements that come up for you. If you're in wheel, slowly exit. If you're in bridge, same, just begin melting your spine back to the floor. Now, let's walk our feet together. You can leave your arms alongside of your body if you like, as just a little support. Or you can reach them over your head. We're gonna come into plow. So begin by drawing the knees towards the chest, kind of like folding in half. Reach your feet over the head. And again, be soft, no forcing. You can even place your hands on your lower back if you desire, just as a little bit of support. Now, fold your right leg behind the left, back into that little figure 4 configuration. And we're gonna roll forward. And this time, look, we're gonna lean a little bit more onto the right side. Yes, you create all that space for your left leg to circle back. And guys, you can choose. You could come into a little S-seat variation. You could come into pigeon. But either way, I want you to just take a moment and explore, right? So, meaning I'm shifting, I'm turning, I'm reaching, I'm undulating, right? And again, let this just really quite naturally unfold for you. Whatever this is. And then the last place you find, right, could be your pigeon again, could be a reclined hero. I want you to lower as much as you can, but still here, working a little bit. Some opening, some stretching, very subtle movement coming through the hip and the pelvis moving. Nice. And now place your hands underneath your shoulders, depending on where you are, just to posture slightly back up. Shifting onto your right flesh here. Circle the left leg all the way out in front. Now both of your legs extend and we're going to roll back. If you like, again, you keep your arms alongside the body. If you prefer now for a little bit more gentle transitions, you can even bend the knees, draw the knees in first, or you reach both of your legs straight over your head, coming back into your plow for the left side. So the left leg is going to fold behind the right. And as we rock forward, again, a little lean more into our left side, freeing up our right leg to circle and spin behind. And then same here, playing around with different versions. So after all the work, right, oftentimes we just think it's done, right? We come out of a jiu-jitsu session or strength training or even a yoga practice at times, and we're not taking time to integrate, right? So usually that's something we would probably take on in other places. I mean, you see people doing medicine journeys and then just boom, next medicine journey, instead of taking time for processing, feeling into things, integrating relationships. We like to jump from one to the next, distractions. So again, this is just another container to be fully expressed, right, in all our completeness. Good. As we shift a little bit more into the left, the right leg will circle in front. Both legs extend, rolling back. And same here, when you get to supine, just draw your knees closer in for a second. Releasing your lower back. And then your feet plant back on the ground for a moment. And now here, you can play a little bit with shoulder stance if you like. Okay, if you don't want to go all the way up, you can come right into a plow variation or death man. So just notice for yourself what makes sense right? If you are in your shoulder stance, see if you can actually really align your heels over your shoulders, right? So it's almost like a handstand, hollow body transition. And then see if you can find some softness in your breath. Even now when you melt the legs alongside the ears, deaf man can be a quite restricting or restrictive, contracted position for some of us. It is a great place to practice breathing under distress, finding space where we feel like there is no space, softening when all we want to do is kind of push away. With your next exhale, just slowly begin melting your whole back onto the ground. You can reach for your feet, outside, inside, whatever you like. And make sure your lower back kind of grounds onto the floor. And then from here, you want to work a little bit more of this opening happy baby pose. Maybe a little bit of rocking side to side, extending the legs. Again, anything that comes up for you, where you're like, oh, this feels good. And then let's release and cross the right leg over the left, kind of like you're sitting on a chair. Now your left hand is going to grab the top of your right foot, and then your right hand is going to grab the top of your left foot. Now what I want you to do first is the left leg, if you still can feel what is right and left here, lower it towards the floor, okay? So your knee ideally is just in line with your hips. Now I want you to just scoot your left hip a little bit out, almost like a little shrimp to the side. Then from here, you want to work more off that extension through the right leg and find conscious twist. And again, don't push too hard. This is more working into with more softness. Again, just the subtleties, micro adjustments. Releasing tension instead of building more. Good, let's let go of the feet and kind of find this little back step transition, right foot. And then grounding back. If you want, take a moment, knees together, knees apart. Fully surrender, release, no adjustments. Just let the body recalibrate. And then switch, right? You're going to cross the left leg now on top of the right. Right hand grabs your left foot. Left hand grabs your right foot. Now the bottom leg, your right leg, is going to find the floor, right? Try to keep that right knee in line with your hip. A little hip scoop, shrimping it out. And then from here, begin to work a little bit into this opening, extension. See if you can still keep your shoulder blades connected to the floor and really finding that spiral. Breathe. And then release. Back step. And if there's any last movement, anything else that your body calls for, please follow along. If you're ready to just now let it all go, find your Shavasana, right? So legs can extend. If what you're rather being called for is a seat of meditation, beautiful. Follow that calling, sit back up. And if you are finding your way into Shavasana, take a moment, right, to really ground yourself, feeling gravity pull you into the floor, into the earth. Scanning through your body, just seeking for those last spaces, places of where you're holding tension. Adjust, open, soften. And then letting this medicine, right, the medicine you created through this practice, just do its own work. There's nothing to direct, nothing to change. You're in this space of complete surrender to receive. You've put your swords down, your armor down. You know you've done what was necessary. You came to understand how to calibrate, how to adjust, how to listen. You have moved forward, you've fallen. You stood back up. You've unified parts of yourself, remembered, reassembled, and have died to be reborn. Let's take a big inhale and exhale of any kind. And then just find again your little movement to just bring you back from this last little piece of your journey, so we can close out our practice together, if anyone is still left over there. Just me and Rachel. Yeah. So thanks to the ones who are still with us. Come back into your seat of meditation, Seiza, right? Your variation of it, and close your eyes again if you got a little distracted by me. And then let's sit back here, hands in cosmic mudra, right? Your right hand sitting into your left and your thumbs touching, and just with that, embodying that cosmic circular structure in some ways. Grounding, reaching, right? Feeling all the different qualities. And let's bow it out together, eyes open. Right hand, left hand. We bow to all the warriors. Us. Us, us, us. Rising up, hands together. And again, celebrating, acknowledging, bowing to all the yogis. Namaste, right? And again, for you, whatever these qualities are, always taking that time in the closing to celebrate, to acknowledge, to honor, right? That's important. Good. And then remembering that we see each other in ourselves, in each other. So, 2.5 hours later, look at this crazy hair. Thank you so much